Hi, all. Welcome to Thursday Live Office Hours with Coach Andy. Great to be here with you today, helping you build a career you love. Pile in. We're going to be talking salary stuff today. Want to say a quick hello, and then we're diving right in because we got a lot to cover. I really got kind of 2 lessons plus a Q&A for you today. So get in. I always love to give you a warm welcome because I appreciate you coming. Andy, what's up? Shaif, how you doing? Elena, Fox, how are you? Cherry, what's up? How's Canada? Kay, Andrew, good seeing you the other day. KKL from down the block. 321's in the house. Sophia, Jennifer, great to meet you the other day. Michael, Elena BD, Jason 96, Nicholas, Carlos from the other side of the pond, Larry, and everybody else. Get in the chat, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. I always get just a great kick, big joy out of knowing that I can reach people in Perth, Australia, which is the farthest point on the planet from me, and everywhere in between. Put some question marks in front of your questions. If you're in any of my programmers, use your hashtag and let me know. Today, I want to talk about salary and specifically about that question you get, what's your expected salary? You get it on the application, you get it with the recruiter, you might even get it with the hiring official. I've got the ultimate comebacks for you today, but in order to make it so that you understand why I want you to do what I want you to do, then I'm going to give you the instruction of what the comebacks are, and then I'm going to tell you what not to do. I want to make sure. I could probably give you the 5 comebacks in 90 seconds, but I need you to understand what they are and how to use them and when to use them. So in full Andy fashion, we're going to go through the whys and the wherefores first, and then we're going to hit the how-tos, and then we're going to hit the just don't do these. Okay? Who's stoked? Give me an I'm stoked in the chat. If you are with me, put pound money magnet. I'm a money magnet in the chat. Come on. And if you're watching this on the recording, hit me in the comments. Okay. So y'all know what the question is. Most of you, you start tensing up, you start sweating, you start worrying about going too low and leaving money on the table or going too high and bouncing yourself out. And why don't we just springboard right from there? What is it that when an employer is asking you this question, what is it that they're trying to do? They want to make sure that you fit into their salary bucket. But I'm telling you, as someone, literally as an executive recruiter who has negotiated more than 600 employment agreements, and as a career coach that I've been doing this for the last 10 years, who's worked with individuals around the world for more than another 1,000 employment agreements and salary negotiation, the coaching sessions, the feedback, and all that good stuff, 1,700 or so odd data points, I'm telling you, I know what works. And the one thing that you do not want to do in the beginning is give them a number. But let's talk about why you don't want to and how to actually be evasive effectively to make it work in your favor so that when it does come time to actually negotiate your salary, you have the best negotiating leverage possible. All right, there's a number of reasons why I want you to be evasive, and I will be specific about what I mean by being evasive, but the reason I don't want you to actually give them an expected salary are these reasons, the following reasons. There's a whole bunch, but I picked, 4 or so that I like. Number one, top thing, that's supposed to be a bullseye, but I didn't have time to actually draw the arrow. Okay, you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss the bullseye. That's the first thing. Is you're either going to go too low and leave money on the table or position yourself in a hole that you're going to have to work out of over the course of the interview process, or you're going to go too high. And if you go too high, you might price yourself out. The other thing I need you to know is at any moment in time, there's no such thing as market pay. Yes, you could do your research. Yes, you can gather some intel. Yes, you can look at some job descriptions and you can see what these similar functions are paying at different organizations. But those are total guesses. They don't know what they're actually going to need to pay to get the exact right person into their organization when they need that person. And you also don't know how much pain they're in. Maybe they've tried 3 other people and they've tried to do it on the cheap and they think they can continue to do that when they simply can't. Or maybe they have old market data. Maybe they had a company who runs surveys, who gathers the data, or maybe they're using Glassdoor or God only knows what, and they don't have a really good understanding. It's just like selling a house or a car. This house right now lists on Zillow and Realtor and all those other places, Redfin and wherever else you look, and there's some number there. Right, but that's not actually what I'm going to sell my house for if I was to do that. I don't know how motivated the buyer is. They don't know how motivated I am, right? There might be some other things that need to be fixed up and we need to negotiate. That number's going to change. And the only thing that you're going to be sure of is what it's going to sell for on the day it transacts. So that's number one. Number two, this is a biggie. Your stock is at its lowest point if you ultimately get an offer with them, meaning if you actually end up getting an offer in the screen with a recruiter, your stock should officially be your lowest point in the interviewing process. Why? They do not know you, right? They see you on paper. Maybe they're excited about your background, but they don't know what you can do. And so if your stock is highest and it goes down, you're not going to need to worry about what you tell them is your expected salary because you're not going to get a job offer because you're going in the wrong direction. You want your stock to build and you want to negotiate when your leverage is the highest. Here, show of hands. I don't know how many people are here. It's probably a whole bunch. Okay, maybe 100 have joined me on time. Has anybody, you go in the chat right now, I'm going to look. Has anybody actually gone to dear old Coach Andy's YouTube channel? Remember the very first video you ever watched of mine? It could have been last week's. It could have been one I put out 10 years ago or in 2016. Imagine the first video. And then I want you to imagine not just the first video of mine that you've seen, but the first, let's say, 60 seconds. Is there anybody in this entire either with me live or watching me on the recording that said, damn, after 60 seconds, I got to reach in my pocket, pull out $1,000 and buy this guy's boot camp? No, right? I had to earn your trust. You kept watching replays, or maybe you came to the live shows. Some of you just watching. You probably watched thousands of hours of my stuff. And some of you, it's taken tens of hours or hundreds of hours before you reached in your pocket and pulled out a measly $7 to buy an interview book. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly what I mean. So I want you to remember next time you're in a recruitment screen and they say, what's your expected salary? I want you to remember that little analogy I gave you about would you actually pay anything after you watched any of my stuff for 60 seconds only? So I want you to think about that. You want to work your way through the interview process, and you want to negotiate when your stock is the highest, and it is not, I assure you, in the recruitment screen. Next thing, the recruiter. Recruiters are nice people, but they cannot say yes. They can only say no, meaning they can say, no, I'm not moving forward with you. You're out. But they can't say, yes, you're hired. They can say, yes, I'm going to move you forward. Now, unless you're interviewing with the head of recruitment and you're a recruiter and you're going to work on his or her team. But most of the time, let's say 99% of the time, the recruiter can only say no. They cannot say yes. And I'm not negotiating with anybody who can only say no. So I don't want to get entangled with somebody whose job it is to filter. I want to get past the recruiter, and then I will deal with the negotiation through the interviewing process, and at the end, when I get the offer and I make my counteroffer, when I build my stock up over the course of the interviewing process. So the goal is to get by the recruiter. The stretch goal is to get by the recruiter and set yourself a wonderful table so that the recruiter loves you so much that they turn to the hiring official and say, this is it. We found her. Call off the dogs. We got her. This is the one. Right? Sets a table for you. So I don't want you to negotiate or give that number because of that. And then probably most importantly are the 5 variables. There are always, that's not some of the time, it's always. There are always, 100% of the time, 5 key factors, 5 influential factors, 5 influences, 5 variables that are malleable from the time you start till the time you finish the interview process. I'm going to run through them at like 2 times speed, and then I'm going to give you some more information where you can find out more. Here's what's at play every time you walk into an organization where you're considering being hired or they're considering hiring you. They have goals, they have problems, they have a solution in mind, they have a profile in mind, and a cost in mind. Let's run through these really quickly. They have goals. I want you to achieve so much revenue in the first year, so much market expansion in the first year. A goal could be within the first year, within the first month. I want to go this high. I want to go this high. So whatever the goals are, I want you to reduce the costs. I want you to do them for this cheaply. I want you to do it in this time frame. Those are goals, right? Those are metrics, KPIs. Then they have obstacles standing in their way. All right, the more you can influence their attainment of the goal, the greater the likelihood they're going to pay you more. If I want 10 leads a day from my marketing engine, but you could give me 100, why wouldn't I pay maybe not 10 times, but a lot more, right? So it's malleable. Then I've got problems. I've got specific problems that I need to overcome in order to achieve the goals. If you've solved my exact problems before, you know exactly where to look, exactly how to solve them, the fastest way to solve them, the cheapest way to solve them, you're worth more to me than somebody who's not encountered it before. So the more exact the problems are that you've solved, the greater the likelihood I'm more attracted to you. If all I did was coach women between 45 and 50 years old in the state of California, and that's all I did, and I knew every imaginable problem that women between 45 and 50 could have and how to overcome every single issue, wouldn't that make me more attractive? Now, I like to think of myself as a holistic coach, and I've seen lots of problems at a very deep level, but you get the idea. The more narrow you are, the better you are. Okay, the solution. I might have a solution in mind. This is the way I want you to get me my marketing leads. Circulate more videos of mine. Go do Facebook ads. You say, well, yeah, that might be a solution, except I could actually do it cheaper. I could do it faster. I could do it for less money than you think. Or we don't need to put that system in. We can do an iterative process where this manual process goes in first, then we go with this cheap solution, then we evolve here. This way it'll be more economical. You'll get better results faster. Great. Well, you just changed my answer. Did you make it better? Was the solution more difficult than I anticipated? It's possible. More difficult solution might require someone with more years of experience, or I might really need somebody who knows how to address those problems. Okay, the profile. What's that? Job description maybe, or what I think it is in my head. Maybe it's somebody who's about 8 years into their career, who's done this for a couple years, who's maybe managed people for a year, who knows how to run this technology software or this platform or whatever. Okay, well, maybe you can show them that, no, your problem is worse than you think. No 8-year person's going to be able to handle that. You're going to need a 15-year person who knows this, this, and this. Or maybe it's not as complicated as I thought, and you're a 5-year person who could do the job. Well, you could change the profile. You could change the scope of the role. You could reduce some of the responsibilities. You could add responsibilities. And then there's the cost, which is ultimately variable. Well, if all of these things are at play, how on earth are you going to hit a bullseye when you meet somebody for 60 seconds who asks you what it's going to take for you to join them or leave your job, or what are you willing to take? You are clueless when it comes to these things. You might understand the goals, but you don't understand the rest. So you have the entire interview process to move these in your favor. Now, that's all I want to say on this, with the exception of, if you'd like more, couple videos I love. 5 ways to get paid more salary when interviewing. It's free. It's on my YouTube channel. Here's another one that I love. What every job seeker needs to know about negotiating salary. Go check those videos out. I think you'll really enjoy them. All right, we're through the why part. Can I just show of hands? Have I convinced you? Giving a number ain't a good idea? It isn't. Give me a show of hands. Drinking iced tea today and water. I got the yellow going. I got the orange going. Okay. All right. Now let's get into the what part and how-tos. All right. You're going to ask me, and so I'm going to tell you. You're going to say, but coach, before I could even get into the interview, they asked me on the application. First thing I'm going to tell you is you shouldn't be filling out applications. You should be boss hunting, but that's for another day. When you get to the application, if against every fiber of my being, you actually put an application in and it says desired salary. All I want you to do, because no one in their right mind is going to hold you to that because you know nothing about them, is just put something in that's near what you currently earn. Okay? Just or recently earned. All right. Don't argue with me on this one. If there's a drop down where you say, well, coach, they're making me pick a number, meaning it says $50,000 to $54,999. It says $55,000 to $59,999. Pick something. Pick something that's close to what you were earning. Or, other option, there's an open field. The open field could require a number, or it could be free-form text. If it's free-form text and it's legit free-form text, you just put the words open, O-P-E-N, that's it. Or if you want to be really fancy, you could put the word negotiable in there. Okay, if you say, well, no, they don't let me put any letters, I have to put numbers and dollar signs and whatever, then you put $1 and that's it. Don't worry, they understand what that means. They're not going to hire you just for $1. They know that means you're open, but their silly system made you put a number. Okay, so I covered that one. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. Please don't ask me any questions when we go to the Q&A about that. Okay, now I'm going to take you through, I thought long and hard about this, people. I'm going to take you through the evolutionary process of what a dialogue looks like with a recruiter. Okay? Who's not totally stoked about this? All right. First thing is they ask you, hey, Michael Doppert, what's your expected salary? And Michael Doppert's going to say, because he goes to the school of Coach Andy and he knows all things economical, he's going to say, I'm open. You could just say, I'm open, if you want to be brief. Or you could go look up on YouTube my expected salary script that says, I'm open. I'm actually open. I mean, sure, money's important and more's always nicer. And while it's important, it's not the only thing. I'm really interested in joining your company. There's what I get to do, who I get to do it with. I'm sure you've got training, benefits, right? If I got a great mentor, say whatever you want as far as what you desire. And I'm sure if we're right for each other, we'll be able to come to something amenable, agreeable, whatever you want to say. That's the I'm open script. That's the first deflection. Okay? That's it. Then what's going to happen? Show of hands. How many people have been in an interview with a recruiter and you used dear old Coach Andy's open script, and then they said, no. They started turning as pink as those pink wavy hands in the chat right now. You're going to say, second thing you're going to do is what? You're going to give them the open script again. That's number 2. You're going to say, no, I'm really open. Honestly, when you do that, half of them will say, okay, I get it. All right. The other half, or 90%, I don't care, it doesn't matter, are going to say, no, I really need a number, otherwise we can't go forward. Right? Does this happen to anybody? Pink wavies? Okay. You give them the I'm open again. One nudge. Okay? Then what happens? Then they say, no, now they go from pink to wonderful shades of amber and rose and red and whatever, right? Purple. Okay. Here's what I want you to do then. I want you to make a statement. These are all statements. I just am calling your attention to the fact that I am making statements, not asking questions or giving answers. I want to call your attention to that, and I'm explaining exactly why I want you to do what I want you to do. I want you to say, okay, I see this is important to you. That makes sense because you want to make sure that we're in sync. I totally get it. I assume you have a budget. If you can let me know what that is, I'll confirm that it's within my range. Those were all questions. I didn't say, what is your budget? I made a statement. So the third thing you're going to do is I assume you have a budget script. It's statements. You're going to make statements. Now I'm going to tell you exactly why I want you to make statements and not ask questions. First thing is, when you ask a question to anyone, even a friend, but especially somebody who doesn't know you and you're in this exchange, when you ask a question, it triggers a defensive scan in your brain. The anterior cortex kicks in and the person is literally assessing risk. It happens in a split second. It's a stress response. It happens quickly. And they're thinking, oh, I don't want to give up information, right? What are they trying to get from me? So I want you to know that questions literally trigger those kind of responses. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing I want you to know about statements is that when you make a statement, it has truly the opposite effect. Because statements, especially those where there is an implied understanding or a mutual agreement or social alignment, That hits the prefrontal cortex. And what sits there? Connection and empathy. Their guard goes down. You just said, I see, that makes sense. You want to make sure we're in sync. You just said to that person, that's smart. You're smart. I think you're intelligent for asking me that question, even though you think they're a total bonehead at this point, right? Okay, so when you have that shared perspective, they are more likely going to give you the information. So that's what I want you to do. That's the I assume script. Now, some of you are going to say, well, geez, coach, I asked them for the budget. And while I didn't do it as fancy as you told me, I asked them and they said, no, we don't give our budgets out. Okay, coach has got another one for you. Statements again, statements again. Okay, that's fair. As part of getting ready for the interview, I took a look at your job descriptions and all your competitors' job descriptions and for similar positions. I noticed their ranges was from X to Y. Statement, stop, that's it. I assume yours is within that range. Okay, now another thing's going to happen. You're still in social alignment. You still called them intelligent. They're going to do one of a couple things. The natural inclination, if you're wrong, is to correct you. They're going to want to correct you. You could be slightly wrong or you could be way off. Okay, if you're slightly wrong, here's what they're going to say. Ours are in that range, maybe a little higher. Ours are in that range, maybe a little lower. Or, well, for our function, without knowing what job descriptions you looked at, our range is this. The top of our range is this. Or something like that. It will be impossible for them not to want to correct you. So that's what's going to happen there. I assume yours are similar. Statement. You have not asked a question. You made a statement, and then you paused for them to fill it in. All right, now you're dealing with the absolute worst recruiter of all time because they've already chewed up 15 minutes of your interview trying to get you through the expected salary to no fault of your own. But ours really varies. The range is really wide. It's really wide. It's like a $150,000 swing. I need a number from you. The next thing I want you to say is, okay, I've done similar work in the past. For similar positions, I've generally earned, or you could say the employers paid me from X to Y. Okay, that's the based on similar roles. X to Y, same kind of thing. They're going to want to correct you. But remember, you made a statement. You didn't say, this is my expected salary. You said, I used to earn. Now, some of you right now are freaking out because you think, coach, what if I tell them what I used to earn? Well, first off, who cares? It's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. I will tell you exactly how much money I earn. If you want to negotiate with me, it has no bearing on how much you're going to pay me to do this job that we're going to talk about for the next 5 weeks. Negotiation power comes from here and here. That's first. Second thing is you didn't tell them that that's what you're expecting, and it doesn't matter what you were paid previously. And what you will come to discover through the 5 factors, when you go through your 5 factors, you are immediately going to gain more information. So anything that is discussed in the first session is going to be out the window. New information means I get to have a new opinion. And if I now have a clear understanding of what the role is, the value you're going to attach to the key performance metrics that you and I are going to agree to, whatever we talked about 5 weeks ago, we live in a whole new world. Okay, so when you get down to here, you are essentially, they're fatigued. They got a number. They're going to check a box. You're just going to say, that's great. If they say, okay, we're in the right box, fine, move on. Okay, if you have to go this deep, first off, I don't even get this. Meaning, I don't know why anybody, meaning the recruiters, would want to go to this much trouble to get you to sign off on something that you're not even signing in blood. But this is what I would do, not round number 5. Okay, now, some of you, despite my wonderful teaching here today, are going to give them an expected salary anyway, and you're going to blurt it out. You're going to panic. You're going to freak out. You're going to come to a coaching session with Dear Coach. You're going to tell me this, and then we're going to laugh because it's the judgment-free zone. But if you give an expected salary, or you did everything I wanted to, you did all the statements, you had all the social alignment going for you, but they still assumed you were giving them an expected salary, wouldn't you know, I got a video on YouTube, how to negotiate a job offer after giving your expected salary. That means if you told them I want 100 and they gave you 100 and you still want to go up, you can still go up. So there's a video on that. All right, so far, so good. Now, let me get to the things I don't want you to do. You know, number one is I don't want you to give a number. Second thing is I don't want you given the range, okay? No good can come of this. So it's just a reminder, please don't do that. No F words, please, okay? I'm not talking about the F word that you're probably thinking. I'm talking about it's fine. Don't use it's fine. Don't use the F word ever in any interview for any question you get asked. You know, you seem really highly qualified. Are you okay with doing this work? I'm fine with that. That's bad. That's code for you do not have a job offer coming. Okay, the other word that's just like fine is the O word. I'm okay with that. No, it's great. It's awesome. It's even better than I expected, or it's something like that. Warmth, love, competence, everything is on a higher plane. So don't do any of this, because then they think, well, you're settling and you're not really fine with it. Is anybody married? I mean, does anybody use the F word in the marital relations? And does everybody know that so does not mean fine? Okay, it's the same thing in a job interview. Okay, so let's recap it real quick. I don't want you giving them any information up front. You'll miss. Your stock's not the highest. The recruiter can only say no, and there are the 5 variables. The process I want you to go through throughout the expected salary process on the application, just put something near what you recently earned. It's totally fine. There's the I'm open script for 1 and 2. You give it to them, they push, you push back. That's okay. Don't worry, they'll turn red. That's fine. I assume you have budget script. Go with that. I always want you making statements. You want prefrontal, not anterior, not in the middle of the head, okay? With your competitors, X to Y, based on similar work I've done. Cool? 27 minutes, pretty good. Maybe a little less when I cut out the front part, but if you enjoyed this, please click the thumbs up button, the like button, it's better known as. Make sure you subscribe to the station. Please share this because people need help. If you are here with me live, we're going to the Q&A. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week. All right. I am never answering any what is your expected salary questions again. I'm going to tell you, go watch the live office hours from Thursday, October 16th, and you'll have everything you need. I'm putting my cards back in order because I like to be orderly. And let's see, I got one other lesson update I want to tell you. I want to let you know I got a show tomorrow, and then we're going to go to the Q&A. Everybody enjoy that? I really enjoyed sharing that with you. I really did. I realized how difficult that nonsense is. I do. I realize you struggle with it, and I realize they make it harder on you than they should. And it doesn't help when you don't know the salary at all, which I'm a fan of. And it doesn't help when it says 50,000 to 150,000. Well, that means they're wildly open. They'll hire a 50,000 person. They'll hire 150. They might hire 170,000. So I hope that helped. Now I want to tell you something kind of special. And for Kara's benefit, Kara, at the 29-minute mark of the video recording, this is pretty much a lesson in and of itself. So this can be nicely clipped and circulated on our social channels. On Saturday, so 4 or 5 days ago, I completed the manuscript of my new book. It's all done. It's a communication book. And as part of the process, I went through 9 iterations through the book. I have what I call a 9 sweeps process where I generate the teaching, I go through the outline. I go through it. I add meat on the bones. I sweep back through it for emotion. I sweep back through it for stories. I sweep back through it to make sure everything makes sense. I sweep back through it for construct, and then I proof it and so on. On Saturday, I gave the manuscript to my acquisitions editor. The acquisitions editor, he's like the gatekeeper between the authors, the agents, and the publisher. And the acquisitions editor's job is not a copywriting job. It's to look at the book and make sure that the construct is in order, meaning everything makes sense. So it makes sense to me because I lived it. And when he got the last portion of the book over the weekend, and he had 80% of the book before the weekend so that he could keep reading it, because on Tuesday, 2 days ago, October 14th, we had a meeting toward the end of the day to go through on a number of things, but I needed his feedback so that I could finalize the manuscript. When he gave me the feedback, it was good feedback. This morning, Thursday, October 16th, I woke up very early. At 4:30, I was writing, and by 6 o'clock, so 90 minutes it took me to roll all his feedback into the manuscript, adjust everything I needed to adjust, change some passages, clarify some jokes, there's just a number of things. And so all that's done, and at 6:17, bang, that manuscript went off. The official, it's in. Now it goes into the publishing process. I want an accelerated release date. We went through all this stuff, but it's off and running today, this morning. That's what I did, I don't know, 5 hours ago. Okay, when I was done at 6:17, I fixed up the paperwork here. I made sure I had my note cards and everything was in order for the show today. By 6:30, I sat in that chair right there. I thought for 20 minutes, and there's a reason I'm telling you this, because I want you to think about this and what it could mean for your job search. So I thought for 20 minutes. That's all I did was think. The only thing I thought about for 20 minutes was it's October 16th. I now, because I crushed my deadline, I got them to agree to basically launch the book a couple months prior than when we thought it was going to be launched, because I beat the deadline by a super lot, and I wanted this thing in order and I want it out. Okay, now I've got an entire year. I thought about the entire year. I literally, in my head, went through the year, and I went through all the freaking struggles that I know I'm going to have. I already have problems as a hangover from the last book I released, because I went through a year-long marketing effort of releasing the ZEBRA Code, which I know a lot of you have. I learned a lot of things by launching that book in a particular format where I had a book club and a whole bunch of other stuff to market the book and embrace the community, help get the lessons out sooner, try to get more people engaged, try to get some buzz around the book, and all of these things for the launch. And so I made a ton of mistakes. I learned a ton of things. There was a whole bunch of stuff that the results were so god-awful of what I had anticipated I was capable of versus what actually transpired, which leaves me confused and frustrated, but that's okay because I learned great lessons. So now I'm going to channel that into this release, except that to go through this release to try to change the way I'm going to do everything, I'm also doing things again for the first time because before confused me. If before would have been successful by my definition, I would just replicate it, boom, stamp it again, and just do the same thing. Except it was a lot of months of pain. It was a lot of months of struggle, and it was rather disappointing results for what I had anticipated. Okay, so now I'm going to go do that again. The only thing I thought about as I thought about all those struggles, I wasn't getting tactical in my head for these 20 minutes. I wasn't thinking about the strategy. I was focused on two things. One, this is going to happen again. How's my highest self going to handle it through every attempt, right? Every adjustment that I'm going to need to make and all the confusion that I'm going to endure. Regardless of whatever metrics that we shoot for, how is my highest self going to handle all of those problems? How am I going to react? And so I anticipated all of that. But the most important thing that I did wasn't that. It was the list of things that I wrote that I need to absolutely make sure that I learn because of all that pain I'm going to endure. So I got done in 20 minutes with a list of things that I absolutely need to come out of this next year with. Wisdom, not results, wisdom. The things I absolutely have to learn. So how does this apply to you? You're all in a job search right now, I'm guessing. Or you're my mom, or you just love hearing me talk and you love coming back for the career stuff, career development stuff. I don't care where you are in your job search right now. Today, can you take 20 minutes for me? Sit down and do nothing but write down all the lessons you absolutely need to learn during your job search. Here's what I mean. Wouldn't it be awesome to know how to network really well? Wouldn't it be awesome to know how to copywrite? You might not have to write a lot of outreach emails, but wouldn't your email copywriting get better? Wouldn't you become more persuasive at making your internal pitches if you knew how to communicate better via email? What about understanding how to market yourself? What about understanding what makes a resume good? What makes a resume effective? What makes networking effective? And all of the things that you need to learn. And then start evaluating, are you actually gaining the benefits of the experience that you absolutely have to endure? It's not a choice. You need a job. So if you're going to go through a job search, why not gain the benefits of the experience by putting the bogey out in front of you and saying, this is the wisdom I need to get. So you will pay attention to what you're learning. And the other thing is, if you're paying more attention to what you're learning, you will make better adjustments. You'll gain the data faster. You'll make the adjustment faster. You'll come out at the end of whatever. If it's a week, great. If it's a month, wonderful. 3 months, that's not too bad. If it's a year, you better damn well make sure you're getting all that wisdom, because that's hard to endure. Well, so is waiting a year to get a book in your hands. All that marketing, all that expense, all that time, all the iterations, all the things that fall flat. So I go through it too, but I'm never robbing myself of the wisdom that I'm going to attain as a result of the pain. Who understands what I mean? You get what I'm saying? I'm challenging you. Who today is going to sit down for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, make the list, everything you do? Can you become a better communicator? Can you get through your interview stories more efficiently? Could you say more by saying less? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm challenging you to do. I do this with myself. I eat my own dog food. So I'm wishing you all well on the searches. But the thing I want most, because I know you'll get a job, I want you to get the best job, make the best decision, get paid the most, a la today's earlier lesson, but I want to make sure you grow. Cool? All right. Well, if you like that, give that part a thumbs up too. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. It was on my mind. It's fresh. It's just a few hours old, but that's what I go through too. It's not sunshine and roses, baby. It isn't. Grind, 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 grind. Cool? All right. I know you got questions. What we got here? Oh, wait, just a quick announcement, because I don't want to forget. I got a note here for myself. Tomorrow, I have a leadership coaching program show at 11. It's on Zoom. You need to be a member of that program. We're talking about negotiating pay raises. I'm going to teach you how to put an employee value plan together. I'm going to teach you how to sketch out your argument, your pay raise argument. And then I'm going to teach you how to deliver it. That's the thrust of tomorrow. I'm not going to go through the whole sales process. Kara can pin the leadership program in the chat. The leadership program is going to go over the next couple of months through a massive overhaul. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. I've been working on it into wee hours in the morning when I'm not writing a book. But it's all, I'm so excited about it. There's a ZEBRA track. There's a new book track. It's so great. It's so great. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, join me tomorrow. Leaders, I'll see you there. Okay. Elena, This is a great question. Could you share advice on navigating organizational restructuring and coping with the stress of a change of role that requires starting from scratch? So here's the first lesson. If you say to yourself, I'm starting from scratch, well, that's your first problem, okay? Because you're never starting from scratch. So you are starting at any moment you start anything, that technically, by default, is the wisest you've ever been, right? This is the wisest I've ever been. And in an hour, I'm going to be wiser. I might be more confused about something in an hour, but it's one step closer to figuring it out. Okay, so when I look at opportunities where there are organizational changes, and every time I had to go through one, and I went through several, and I mean, I worked for a company where I was employee number 108, and we grew it to 450 in 18 months. We must have restructured 3 times. We kept reorganizing and things kept changing. So every single time that happened, I was excited about the fact that I got to learn new things. I got to work with new people. I got to learn new solutions because we kept changing that too. And so I never considered any of that starting over. I was just learning more, and I'm learning faster because the change was imposed. This is all in the mentality. Then you challenge yourself to get up to speed quickly, to meet the people, to learn the concepts, to learn the solution, to learn the industry, to learn the whatever it is. That's all in the way you look at it. You're starting in a hole. Any of you that are bummed by change, and I know that's most of you because naturally humans don't like change. I don't know how to use AI. All I said is, could this make me faster at anything? Let's go look. Let's try it. It's a great proofreader, my new book. It's a great sounding board to tell me when I have holes in my thinking, right? So whatever it is, you got to look at it the right way. You're learning faster. That's what I would say to that. Great question. Carlos, if being interviewed by potential peers, do you adapt your potential introductions to be less strategic, potentially to avoid being seen as too senior as compared to the hiring manager? No, I would not adjust my intro with the exception of relating it to your peers. Carlos, you go to the Andy School of introducing yourself. You know all the layers. For any of you that don't go to the Andy School, there's a video on Andy's YouTube channel called How to Introduce Yourself in a Job Interview. Just go watch it. I give you the formula. When you go through it, Carlos, I'm not going to relive the formula for you because I know you know it. One thing that I want you to do when you introduce yourself is if you're introducing yourself to an individual, meaning you're on Zoom one-to-one, or you walk into a room and you're one-to-one, you say, and something, I looked up your background, something I think might be very, interesting to you is, and then you're going to add in something very specific to that person. That's assuming that you're going to have some kind of idea, their background or whatever. And even if you break up the intro, meaning, and you get that in at least somewhere else, it's still good. If you're going into a group interview, let's say there's 2 or more, you might want to try to add it in together. You two might find it interesting that I shared this, that, and the other, or I worked with this and that, or something like that. Now, I'd love to be able to trade, what I know, what you know, just some way to connect with the room. People love the connection. The more specific you can make it, the better it is. I appreciate you might only have so much information, but then you're going to need to take a guess. Your guess is not a wild guess. It isn't, because you're going to have some understanding of who the person is. So that's what I would do there. It really flies well. It does. Baby girl, what's up? If I'm negotiating for an increase in my salary at the current position and manager gave me how much money they can give me, how should I respond? So the first thing that I would do is I would say, thank you so much. If you're getting a raise, that's good. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's 1,000, 10 grand, or 100. Thank them for the raise. Now, there's a couple things. You could ask them, is there any opportunity to increase the raise? Is there any opportunity to have any other kind of compensation, additional vacation, additional bonus, some kind of perk signing for a new position? There's tons of different things that you can do. So you can ask them that. But honestly, Cherry, tomorrow we're going to go through all this at the session. So as far as the mechanics of what you're going to ask them, tomorrow is really where we're going to go through all of that. But if you're asking me how should I respond, my response would be, thank you, I appreciate it, I'd love to understand it. Or going back to, remember when I was saying this, where I was saying when you're wondering, because this is an employer of yours, when you get into this situation, if you do this, implied understanding, shared perspective, oh, I appreciate there was a good reason the employer chose that amount. Stop, let him talk, right? Then C. Then if he says, hey, Cherry, they didn't want to give you anything, I had to go back and ask, all right, now you understand a little more. Or if he says, yeah, you did a solid job, we gave you the maximum, that tells you something. But the point is to just have the dialogue. But the first thing you want to be is appreciative. That's what I would say. And empathetic to the situation. Michelin, thoughts asking above range in the offer stage? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. So I'm not even going to go into all the whys and wherefores. If they say, we're giving you the top of the range at 100, I want you to literally, at that point, because it's a new job offer, ignore that. And then you're going to go make your argument a la my techniques. If you're in my, I don't know if you're in the boot camp. If you're in the boot camp, you go to the salary negotiation workshop. I tell you exactly how to do all that. If you are in the free domain, there's a salary negotiation playlist on the YouTube channel. It doesn't matter. I don't care where you come in at the range. I don't care if you give me an offer that's already outside the range. It doesn't matter. Ask, believe me, trust me. And don't give me the whole, oh, in this market. That's nonsense. You have no idea what that company's going through. So, in the last 2 full weeks, I've helped people negotiate, half a dozen offers. And everybody either got the max or more. One woman got, I think, like 3 times her highest salary ever. So, she's in a whole different stratosphere. It's never saw money like that before. So I'm not buying the whole, the sky is falling. Yeah, some companies are struggling more than others, but you go, art of the possible. Kimberly, this is a great question. If you don't need primary healthcare insurance, should you negotiate for a higher salary? These are separate questions. They're 2 different questions. I'm going to take the back half. Should you negotiate for a higher salary? Yes, irrespective of your situation. Go back to the first part. Here's your thinking. Hey, dear Coach Andy, I'd like to join Mile Walk. I'm Kimberly. My husband, my partner, my whatever, my spouse has healthcare. I don't need your healthcare. Can I get $5,000 more in salary? The position pays what the position pays based on either the value I attach to it or how you've convinced me you're going to achieve epic goals. If you join my company and you sign up today, October 16th, and then January 1st, new enrollment period, you decide my company's healthcare is better than your spouse's or your partner's, then you switch over. Now what do I think? So I'm not doing any of that. Any employer worth their salt would know that. So it doesn't matter. They get crushed with, because I think you're in the US, right? They get crushed with employer tax and all that other stuff. It's not that big a deal. And then there's maybe $1,000, few $1,000 for your healthcare, but they're not going to give you a higher salary because they don't have to pay it for you. They just won't. You could try. I'm telling you what I would say to you. What's to prevent you in 10 weeks from switching over? And then I can't stop you. It's a good question. 3, 2, 1, what's up? At any time, wouldn't you say, and I am happy to negotiate as we move forward? Why even say that? Why say anything? That falls under the no need. The no need to do that. Of course you're going to negotiate. There's no need for you to say that. Consider the situation. Consider who you're talking to. I'm assuming you asked me that in the package. But no, there's no. You don't ever want to tell them you're going to negotiate, ever, until you do. Nicholas, question. Hold on here. Let me make sure I can see everything. All right. I was working with Andy AI. It said I should group core competencies by topic. Is that correct? And it okay to put these topic titles in italics or... Oh, okay. So, Kara, give me a note. I'll adjust Andy AI so that it doesn't say that. For core competencies, Nicholas, just core competencies include, list them. Technical skills include, list them. Don't get any, it's for the cheap seats. And so Andy AI is probably, I don't know what Andy AI is doing when it comes to that. And it's also the way the questions are being asked to the clone. For those of you that don't know what Andy AI is, it's my digital clone based on all of my premium teaching and my books and all the YouTube stuff and all the premium programs and the leadership program. And occasionally it burps like this, but I would not do it. Just go with the template. And for any of you that are using Andy AI, you know damn and full well what the structure of the career profile looks like. Before you have Andy AI write anything, get the clone and you to agree that this is the template, or ask it, can you spit out the template so that you and I are in sync? Copy it and paste it right in and say, based on this template, can you help me structure this? And go ahead and do it. So it's you want to make sure you're in sync with what you're asking it, and it is in the right spot. It's got 15 million words. So it's siphoning through a lot of different things, and I don't know where it's getting that. And I have to set tolerances where 95% should just do what I tell it. But if I make it 100, then it's gonna, because of the way people ask it questions, it's gonna say, I don't know how to answer you. And I don't want to do that to you. So occasionally it'll burp. Brad, how are you? I received a verbal offer. Yes, awesome, for a role, and I avoided telling them I accepted and asked for the formal offer. I expect that soon. How do I open a negotiation? Brad, you go watch the salary negotiation workshop. I tell you exactly what to say, how to say it, when to say it. But to give you the short answer right now, when you get the offer, you want to say, thank you so much. I'd love to see everything so I fully understand, what's included. And then they're going to give it to you. And then it depends on how they deliver it to you. And I'm not going to go through all the scenarios. They're either going to email it to you, they're going to call you and socialize it, they're going to email it and socialize it, they're going to send it to you formally and say, please accept it. They're going to send it to you formally and say, let's get on a call. Depending on how they do that, you're going to ask them your questions. You go through all your questions first to gain an understanding before you make a counter. So no matter what happens, you're going to have questions, especially if you haven't seen the offer. Go watch the salary negotiation workshop, the second and third videos where it talks about getting ready for your negotiation and then actually conducting the negotiation. Those two videos. I cannot say it better. You have the best assets for all the instruction. Good luck. Julie, what is the best way to explain I am taking an intentional break from work while looking for my next role? Mutual separation. I struggle to explain why. So, I don't know how old you are, Julie, but the older I get, the less I feel the need to explain myself. For you, I don't know that you need to explain why you're taking a break. If you would like to leave your company and you're asking me how to explain it to the company I'm leaving, the best way to do it is, I need to leave. I love working here. I need to leave for some personal reasons. You do not have to give them anything. I don't care if it's mental health. You want to go travel around the world or do whatever the hell you want. Go surfing. and that's it. And then if you go to the next role, and you're off for, I don't know, 6 days or 6 months, you don't need to explain yourself. You need to say, I had an opportunity to take a break and spend some time with my family. I've never gotten to do that, or I rarely get to do that, and I decided to do that, and now I'm ready to roll again. Something like that. You don't need to explain a lot of that. And most employers will not press you. Now, if you're off for 2 years, that still works. I had an opportunity to take some time off. I parted with my employer on great terms. You could check with them. My ex-boss is my reference, or the HR department loves me. Go ahead and call them or whatever. And that's it. You don't need to explain it. I think I'm understanding your question. And if I did, that's how I would say it. Cool. All right. Wait, are there any other questions? I mean, I've got another 5 minutes here. Denisha's loving Andy. Brad, you're welcome. Good luck on that. Fuchsia tongue. Oh, God. Let's see. Kara, what else? What else we got here? Anything? You guys have no more questions? That's so funny. I thought you'd have loads of salary questions today. Sugar Pie, you won't undersell yourself. It's all in the interviewing process. Hey, don't forget to check out the leadership program. Tomorrow's a really good one. Tomorrow in and of itself is worth the annual admission. It really is. Payroll, let's see. I'm zipping up the chute here. All right. So, well, if there's no more questions, I hope you enjoyed the show today. Like I said, I'm with my leaders tomorrow. I'm back next Thursday. I'll be in your inbox on Tuesday with a new video. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. You can subscribe to the newsletter by going to the Mile Walk Academy. There's a button there that just says newsletter. You click it, join newsletter, or download anything of mine it will tell you that we're going to add you to the newsletter, and then we send you an email with a welcome and your download and all that stuff too. Cool? All right. I'm glad Andy AI has been helpful, and I appreciate you coming to the shows every week. For all of you that showed up today that are still here with me, I absolutely love doing this. My leaders, I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Anybody who wants to become a new leader, we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Or if you got any questions about that program or anything else, support@milewalk.com. Kara absolutely loves emails, as do I. So please send us one and let us know how you're doing. Cool? All right, y'all. You be good. I'll see you soon. Leaders, see you tomorrow. Everybody else, have a great weekend.